Alright guys, last week we made a video on why you should skip Jing Yuan, so we're making a video today on why you should summon for Jing Yuan. Basically playing both roles of why you should skip and why you should summon. If you haven't already, go check out that video. But in today's video, we're basically going to be talking about why you should summon for Jing Yuan, talking about all the characters on his banner, why his banner is super cracked, super good for any player in the game, especially free-to-play players, and why this might be the banner you need to summon on if you didn't summon on Sele's banner. Or Zila's banner. I call her Sele, whatever. Alright guys, so starting off with March 7th first. Yeah guys, I think March 7th is a really good unit to have. She's of course a preservation unit. She provides a lot of shield for the team, and she just does a lot for the team. So let's just talk about her first, then we'll talk about Ting Yun, then we'll talk about Shu Shang after that. So yeah, hopping into really what March 7th can do here. So March 7th skill basically allows you to provide a shield to one ally for 3 turns equal to 38% of her shield. And if that ally has more than 30% of their max HP, it's going to make you increase targeting on that character. So for example, you could technically target March 7th herself and make the enemies more likely to attack her. Or if you have someone like Clara, you could put March 7th's ability on her and then make her to get targeted more, so on and so forth for any character really in the game. If you want that character to be targeted, then of course you can have them target that character. And the reason why this is so good is because you can take the aggro away from some of your allies on the field with this ability. So if you don't want per se your Ting Yun to be attacked, you can put that shield on another ally and she has less of a chance of being attacked, which is just super nice to have. And then you have her ultimate, which deals 90% of March 7th's attack to all enemies and has a 50% chance to freeze those enemies for 1 turn. And while those enemies are frozen, they take additional ice damage. I mean, having an AoE ultimate, like I said, is just really nice. Also, it has freeze on it as well, meaning you can freeze the enemies, meaning you can make them have 1 less turn realistically. Freeze is the best debuff in the game, and this is just really strong. And what kind of tops all of this off is when a shielded ally is attacked, March 7th is going to counter dealing ice damage equal to 50% of her attack. The reason why this is so strong is because if an enemy, say, has an ice debuff on them, you technically have someone target on your team and just have the enemy keep attacking them and keep taking that shield off of them and keep having them take more and more damage. This will also help with breaking the enemy shields, especially if they have an ice weakness. Talking about some of her eidolons now, which you will probably be getting whenever you summon for her because, you know, you get it for free. So, the first eidolon is going to be every time March 7th ultimate freezes a target, she regenerates 6 energy. So that means if there's multiple enemies on the field and she's freezing those enemies, she's getting a lot more energy. Say there's 3 enemies on the field. That means if she freezes all of them, she's getting 18 extra energy, which just gets her ult back that much faster. E2 is really strong because whenever you enter a battle, March 7th is going to give a shield to the ally with the lowest HP, and that lasts for 3 turns. E4 is going to be increasing the amount of times March 7th can counter per turn. And E6, if you get there, is going to allow her to actually heal the allies that have shields on them. So yeah, her eidolons are actually pretty cracked and pretty good. That's not all it is to her. She also has her traces too, which also make her really good. The first trace that she unlocks is going to be Purify, which removes 1 debuff from an ally. That is really strong. Cleanse is really strong in this game. This pair up with Natasha means you can take off 2 debuffs a turn with both of these characters. Her next one's going to increase the shield duration. And her third main trace at Ascension 6 is going to increase the freeze by 15%. So this means if you have her E1, you'll be getting more energy back for her. Ascension 6, you have a higher chance to freeze, which means a more likely chance of you getting more energy back. Yeah guys, like I said, overall March 7th is just a really good character all around. She has pretty good shield. She doesn't do that much damage from my testing, but the shield is really strong. Her counterattacks can help a lot, especially with breaking shield against ice enemies. And on top of that, she does have freeze, which is really good, really cracked. She purifies, and she just does a bunch of stuff. But those are my reasons on why March 7th is so good. Let's go ahead and talk about Ting Yun next. Okay guys, Ting Yun, let me tell you, Ting Yun is that bitch. She is like a 5-star. She is super good. She is really good. She is definitely the best 4-star in the game by far. So hopping into her skills now, her first skill is gonna be Soothing Melody. What it does is it grants an ally with Benediction, which increases their attack by 25%, up to 15% of Ting Yun's current attack. And whenever they have this buff on them and they attack, they're gonna be dealing additional lightning damage equal to 20% of that person's attack. This is really good for Jing Yuan. When paired up with him, oh my gosh, he's gonna be dealing that much more damage. And honestly, you're stacking his attack anyways, which makes this really strong. Hey, yo, honestly, this is really good paired up with Jing Yuan. Her ultimate is going to regenerate 50 energy for a single ally and increase that target's damage by 20% for 2 turns. Now, a damage increase is really strong in this game. 20% is really big too, and regenerating that energy, that's 50 energy, so that means you're probably going to be getting that person's ultimate back within the same turn. For example, after using Jing Yuan's ult, he's going to be gaining 30 energy off rip. After that, if you use his skill, he's going to gain another 20 energy, which means he's at 50 energy energy already. Then you can pop Ting Yun's ult, which means he's at 100 energy now. If you use his skill next turn, he's at 120 energy. And then after that, he just has to be attacked a couple times or just wait for his next rotation. He has ultimate back already, which still falls within the 2 turns for that increased 20% damage. And her talent is kind of crazy as well. But when an enemy is attacked by Ting Yun, the ally with benediction immediately deals additional lightning damage equal to 30% of that ally's attack to the same enemy. That means if you're trying to beat down an opponent that's really weak against lightning, that this is going to do a lot more shield break to him. But yeah, as far as skill set goes, her skill set alone just makes her S tier. We still haven't even talked about her eidolons, which make her even better. At E1, after using her ultimate, she's going to be increasing the speed of 20% for that ally. Her E2 is going to be giving that person 5 extra energy after they defeat an enemy. Gforce, kind of crazy. The damage multiplier provided by benediction increases by 20%. And then at E6, the ultimate is going to regenerate 10 extra energy for that ally. Hey, yo, honestly, this really correct for the eidolons as well. Talking about some of her traces now. Her first trace is going to increase Ting Yun's speed by 20% after using a skill. Her second is going to increase basic attack damage by 40%. And her last trace is going to immediately regenerate 5 energy at the start of her turn. Yeah, so overall, her kit's just kind of insane. She is kind of like built for Jing Yuan. Honestly, she's built for any DPS in the game. You can literally stack this with any DPS in the game. It works better with Jing Yuan because he does deal lightning damage. Honestly, this is just really, really cracked. And if you don't have Ting Yun already, then definitely pull on this banner to get Ting Yun. And finally, guys, the last 4-star on the banner we're going to talk about is Shu Shang. Physical DPS, hyper carry, mini Seele, whatever you want to call it. Elo, whatever you guys say. Alright guys, so talking about her skills now. Her skill is going to deal physical damage to one enemy. In addition, there's a 33% chance to trigger sword stance on the final hit, dealing additional physical damage equal to 50% of Shu Shang's attack to that enemy. If the enemy is inflicted with weakness break, sword stance is guaranteed to trigger. Her ultimate is going to deal physical damage to one enemy and immediately advances her action forward by 100%. In addition, Shu Shang's attack is increased by 18%, and using her skill has 2 additional chances to trigger sword stance for 2 turns. Sword stance trigger from this extra chance deals 50% of the original damage. And finally, her talent, when the enemy is weakness broken, Shu Shang's speed increases by 15% for 2 turns. Now, I think you can tell in the ultimate why she's so good. Whenever you use her ultimate, she's automatically advanced forward. When the enemy's weakness broken, she gets 50% speed. Everything's about breaking the enemy's shield with her. So you want to build her around breaking that enemy shield as fast as you can, because this is going to give you the most gain of damage in my opinion, because the more you break the shield, the faster she becomes, the more damage she does overall. So just build up breaking shield as fast as possible, and that's the move for this. Talking about her eidolons now, at E1, after she uses a skill against a weakness broken enemy, she regenerates 1 skill point, meaning her skills are free when the enemy is broken. After triggering sword stance, the damage taken by Shu Shang is reduced by 20%, which makes her more tanky and increases her survivability. Shu Shang's break effect is increased by 40% at E4, and her E6 is really strong too because it's going to allow you to stack her speed boost, which you get from her talent. So yeah, overall, these are some pretty good eidolons. I would say the best ones are probably E1 and E2. The break effect increase is nice, but keep in mind, guys, weakness break does not break the shield faster. Basically, what break effect does is whenever shield is broken, it deals additional damage. And talking about her traces now, alright guys, so her first trace is basically going to have her targeted less when she's below 50% HP. Her second one's going to increase damage every time she enters sword stance. And her third is going to be advancing her action whenever there's a weakness broken opponent on the field, which just makes her faster and more efficient, and this is just really good. So yeah guys, overall, Shu Shang is just really, really strong. Probably the best physical DPS in the game right now, and I think you should definitely pull for her and Ting Yun. I think those are probably the 2 best ones on the banner. March 7th is still really good. Like I said, I think these 2 are better than her, but overall, this is just a great banner all around for free-to-play players to pull on for these units alone. But guys, before I talk about the Big Dick Daddy Jing Yuan, I'll tell you what his line told me. He told you guys to subscribe to my channel so you can get more content like this, more copium content that you can roast me in the comment section for. Anyways, guys, let's go ahead and talk about him now. Daddy. Now, guys, you probably are going to want to pull for Jing Yuan if you didn't pull for Seele, because you do need a DPS unit that's really strong. Seele is a really good DPS unit, and also Jing Yuan is too. So I do recommend pulling for Jing Yuan if you don't have like another DPS unit. Now, guys, like I said in my previous video on why you shouldn't summon for Jing Yuan, keep in mind if you don't have a healer, there is another banner coming out with Luocha, which is a healer, and if you need a healer, you might want to wait to summon for him. But if you don't have a DPS, then you definitely are going to need a DPS, because if you're not dealing damage, then healing really doesn't matter. So hopping right into his skill, because this video has gone on for too long already. His skill is going to be dealing lightning damage to all enemies, and the lightning lord's hits per action is going to be increased by 2 for the next turn. His ultimate is going to be dealing lightning damage to all enemies and increase the lightning lord's hit per action by 3. And his talents, what's going to be summoning that Lightning Lord in, that Susanoo or stand, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, he comes in at the beginning of battle. He has a base speed of 60 and has 3 base hits per action. His attacks are also considered lightning attacks. His hits are scaled off of Jing Yuan's attack. Whenever the Lightning Lord attacks, he will hit an enemy and hit adjacent enemies next to that enemy. And overall, yeah, the Lightning Lord does big dick daddy damage. I'm sure you've seen it everywhere. Yeah, his damage is kind of insane. Talking about some of his Eidolons now, we'll just talk about the good ones. We won't talk about all of them because unless you're a whale, you're probably not getting E6, let's be honest. At most, you'll probably get E1. Maybe if you're lucky, E2. His E1 is basically going to allow the Lightning Lord to deal extra damage on the adjacent enemies. He gets a 25% increase of damage. And E2, after the Lightning Lord takes action, damage caused by Jing Yuan's base attack skill and ultimate is increased by 20% for 2 turns. And E2 is honestly really good. By increasing Jing Yuan's skill, ultimate, and basic attack damage by 20% for 2 turns, you'll basically have that up almost all the time. His first trace is basically going to increase the crit damage of the Lightning Lord if the action counter is more than 6 in the next turn. His second one's going to immediately generate 15 energy at the start of battle. And the third one's going to increase his crit rate by 10% after 2 turns by using a skill. So yeah, overall, Jing Yuan is really cracked, really good. And like I said before, if you didn't pull for Seele, you probably want to pull for him so you're doing damage and able to complete stuff in the game. And we've already seen the OP damage he can do. If you're struggling with like simulated universes, I honestly think he'll carry you through most of the worlds in simulated universes just with him alone, really. He's really good, really cracked. And overall, I think he pairs up with Ting Yun quite nice. But yeah, guys, that's really going to do it for today's video. I'm going to be making build guides on all these characters whenever the update comes out, or they'll come out progressively when the update comes out anyways. If you guys want to see that, make sure you subscribe. But yeah, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. I think you should definitely pull for Jing Yuan if you haven't pulled for Seele and you don't have really any DPS available to you. So yeah, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Hope everyone enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one later. Bye-bye!